Hi, I'm Scott Broberg, president of SBR Financial Group. Today is going to be an introduction video in a series that is intended to help us have a better understanding of the federal tax system. So the goal is to provide an overview of the tax system that we all pay into, and understanding this really gives us insight to not only our own tax returns, but also into many of the political arguments that we find ourselves in every day in the world that we live in today. I think everyone agrees that it would be nice if everyone had a better understanding of our tax system. The tax code has become complex, and it does take a bit of work to get a better understanding of that. I hear people often say that we should be teaching about these personal finance issues in high school. And while I agree with that, it's very difficult for somebody in high school who doesn't earn income, who doesn't file a tax return on an annual basis, to then be able to take what they do every year and implement it. When you teach it at that level, it becomes fairly abstract. At that point, it's just rote memorization, and you never really get to put it in practice. For those of us who do have income and we do file a tax return every year, then it'll be easier for us to watch these videos and then go to our own tax return, or at the time of filing, as we're filing our tax return, have a better understanding of the whole system and how it affects us. So the series of videos, we're going to cover the following, and then we'll have a number of smaller videos that all support understanding the federal tax system. So the first thing we're going to do is a basic overview of the tax system, and really, who are the players? Who are the people involved? How do they interact with each other? And why is it so important that each section acts efficiently to make the whole system function as a whole? The second thing we're going to look at is to help you describe the system. If someone were to ask you about the United States federal tax system, would you know the words to use, the characteristics, and then be able to say, this is what that word means. It's how it's put into practice. So this is what the second video will be about. The third one is we're going to do just a very basic understanding of the tax rate schedule. So tax rates are often something that we hear political arguments about. Who should be paying at what rate is what really everybody's asking. How much, at what rate should it be, and then who pays for that? Number 4 we're going to do is a comparison. So comparisons are always a powerful tool for better understanding. And what we're going to do is, under the same tax rate schedule, we're going to compare two different incomes. And then take a look at what the outcome is. This will really help. This one will help with the often heard argument of who pays a fair share. And then number 5 is an economic idea that is called a Laffer curve, named after the economist Art Laffer. And basically this says, when you move tax rates on an individual or a business up or down, higher or lower, how does that affect the overall amount of money that actually hits the coffers of the U.S. government? And there's some unique characteristics to this whole argument. Now, we will do things in the future, shorter videos that have to do with standard deduction versus itemized deduction, or a look at personal exemptions, tax credits, how those affect our overall tax system. So those will all come into play when trying to understand the overall U.S. federal tax system. But I want to begin by just talking briefly about how we got here today into making these videos. And it really came from a discussion with some friends at a dinner party my wife and I were at. So we attend this dinner party. It's during the summer of 2012. So smack dab in the middle of the presidential campaign between Barack Obama and Mitt Romney. And we're in it. We're talking with this couple, and inevitably the campaign comes up, and we get into this discussion about taxes, and the lament was that the tax system is not fair. So this is what was being said, and it may have even been something to the effect of pay, fair, share, which was an often heard comment. So knowing this couple fairly well, I said, "May I ask you a question?" And they said, "Sure, go ahead." And I said, would you describe our tax system? Now, I had recently, I had been on a radio program here in San Diego about a month before we had this conversation, and the whole radio program was describing the tax system. So I'd just done this. It was fresh on my mind. But I said, would you be able to describe this tax system? What are the words that are used? What are the characteristics of our tax system? If you had to compare ours to another country, how would you describe it? How does it get put into action? And unfortunately, I could tell from the silence that they didn't know. So I said, "May I ask you another question?" They said, "Yes, absolutely." I said, "What are the odds that we're going to be able to declare that something is unfair when we can't even describe the system?" And unfortunately, this is often the political world that we find ourselves in today. And it's a system that everybody is intimately involved in because we all pay into it and we file for it every year. That led me down a path to say, let's create some videos, some short teachings that are going to be able to help family and friends gain a better understanding of this overall system, not only just for their own personal sake for filing, but also for when we get into these discussions that we often find ourselves in. So that's where we're going. We're going to do the number of videos. All of those are here to help us gain a better understanding of the tax system, and so that we can just be more informed citizenry. So just make sure you check out the rest of the videos in the series, and we'll see you in the next video.